I wish to personally, and on behalf of the government and people of St. Lucia, congratulate Dr. Keith Rowley and the PNM on forming the government of Trinidad and Tobago after yesterday's general elections. Above all, the election results echo the voice of the people across Trinidad and Tobago. This election is another triumph for democracy in our region. From all indications, it was a highly competitive campaign, but largely peaceful. Undoubtedly, the road ahead will be difficult and complex. Trinidad and Tobago, like other countries in the region, has to confront the emerging economic realities, especially with the declining fortunes in earnings from the energy sector. The government of St. Lucia shares with Trinidad and Tobago common vision for our region on a wide range of issues. I look forward to working with Prime Minister Rowley on the common causes of our region. I wish Dr. Rowley and his team the best and look forward to a continuation of the deep, close, and special relationships St. Lucia shares with the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. No, not really. I think what you have to do is to look at each specific case. There are particular factors in each instance that lead the electorate to make decisions against the incumbent government. I mean, we saw this very clearly in other countries of the Caribbean. Certainly that was the case here in St. Lucia in 2011. But you also have to look the other way, and there are countries where the electorate have returned incumbent governments. The case of Dominica is a very classic one. You recall that at the last elections held in Dominica, the Skerritt government was returned to office, despite the fact that he had served 2 previous terms, and indeed the Labour Party had served 3 previous terms in Dominica. So I think you have to look at every island, look at the specificity in each island, the conjunction in each island, to arrive at a decision as to whether that is just part of a trend. As a matter of fact, what I think has happened is that if you look at the election results across the region, every party maintains its base. And what in fact happens is that in each instance, you have a group of persons in between both political parties who tend to move one way or the other, depending on what the weather is, depending, of course, on the particular issues confronting the country at a specific time, depending, of course, on a range of factors, including, of course, the common issues people are perturbed about on the eve of a general election. So I believe that political parties come to general elections with their respective bases. And the same thing happened in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, the UNC has largely held on to its base. The PNC has largely held on to its base, except that in one of the few marginal seats, there were shifts, generally speaking, across the political boundaries. And the amazing thing about Trinidad and Tobago is that while the PNM won the majority of seats, the popular vote still remained with the UNC, I think, from what I understood, by some 2%. This is not overall very significant, but it is an indication, of course, that the political parties hold on to their respective bases. Absolutely not. I have no plans at the moment. All I'm interested in doing is just to govern the country and make sure that the economy turns around. And I'm very confident that this is happening at this time. Of course, there's a huge job at hand still. We have to get more people employed. We have to make sure that the projects of the government get executed. So that's not an issue currently on my mind. But any sensible politician will begin the process of preparation. You have seen preparation on the side of the United Workers' Party. They have decided to hold internal elections to select candidates, well, of course, where it's been convenient to them, because in some instances, not all their candidates have been the subject of internal elections, or runoff as it is called. Some people have been exempted from that process. I'm not too sure why that is the case, and not a general rule across the board. But the Labour Party is also doing precisely the same thing. In fact, you may not know this, and because we don't necessarily publicize these matters at this stage, we are busy beginning the process of selection in particular constituencies. Interviews have been held with intending candidates, and the good thing is that there are a number of new faces, new persons who are interested in contesting the general election with the St. Lucia Labour Party. So it's the beginning of that process, and any government that is now coming on to its final year in office, and don't forget, come November 28th, then is the 4th year, so there's one more year to go. Inevitably, therefore, you begin the process of candidate selection, candidate review. The Labour Party is well known for a party of fresh ideas, fresh faces. We certainly understand the need to ensure that we keep up with the temper of the times. We know very well that our young people are searching for solutions to the very complex problems that faces the country, and very clearly we have to provide them with alternatives. We have to provide them with hope. We have to provide them with vision. We also have to provide them with confidence, and that's one of the main issues for us. And we as a party recognize that we have to change, we have to make adjustments, we have to make alterations in our approach, our style, our thinking. And I think if you look at the St. Lucia Labour Party very carefully, that the number of politicians from yesteryear have diminished significantly. In fact, the two oldest politicians in the St. Lucia Labour Party right now are myself and, of course, the Honourable Philip J. Pierre. And who knows what's on the horizon, but the reality is that the process of a transformation is certainly underway in the St. Lucia Labour Party. Well, the recent summit is not really properly described as a summit. It's really an anniversary celebration. It was the 10th year of the existence of PetroCaribe. Of course, there were many who prophesied the death of PetroCaribe. Many who said that PetroCaribe will never survive, that the government of Venezuela, following the decline in the price of oil on the world market, will decide to shut down or close PetroCaribe. That has not happened. PetroCaribe is, in fact, alive and well, judging by the number of projects carried out in member states and member countries. Of course, St. Lucia has not fully activated membership of PetroCaribe. The problem that we have now is one of storage. If we are to import oil on a PetroCaribe, we need some place to store the oil. Currently, the only place that oil can be stored is at the Buckeye facility, that is the former Hess facility. They store oil for Lusilec, and it has been exceedingly difficult to extract an agreement from them in respect of storing oil for the government and people of St. Lucia, because they think that their facility should be used for otherwise or for their contractual arrangements with Lusilec. We understand that, and we're not going to interfere with that, although the government of St. Lucia has significant shares in Lusilec. And we would be very anxious to ensure that there is a process in place that would lead to cheaper fuel prices and, at the end of the day, lower prices of electricity throughout the length and breadth of the island. The relationship between PetroCaribe and the government of St. Lucia, apart from that, is really very fine. As a matter of fact, I'm pleased to advise you that the government of St. Lucia has now received official notification that a loan of some $9 million will be made available for a housing project in St. Lucia. And that housing project will be used to rehouse the people at Roseau. The government of St. Lucia Labour Party has promised the people of Roseau for years that we're going to give them new homes to remove them from the barrack-like conditions that they existed in since from the days of the sugar industry. So that money is going to be used primarily to develop a new housing estate. We have already bought the lands not far away from Roseau itself. So I'm really very pleased, very, very happy, and I'm looking for more support from PetroCaribe. Obviously, we have not been able to maximize support because of the fact that we have not entered into the arrangement for the provision of oil, because you know the difference that you pay for the price of oil is then put into a development fund that is then used to on-lend to member states. So we have no debt with PetroCaribe, but our relationship is good, our relationship is strong, and PetroCaribe continues to make a vital difference in the region for the people of the region. Actually, the call came from ECLAC. The presentation was made by ECLAC to the Commonwealth Caribbean Heads of Government Conference in Barbados. In fact, the director presented a very passionate appeal to international donors to intervene to provide debt relief for the states of the Caribbean. Her arguments were really very, very compelling, because she made the point that these countries, because of their high debt to GDP ratios, really cannot participate in the international economic system because they are not empowered to do so. They don't have the financial capacity and the financial will to do so, nor the breathing space to make new investments. And that is, in fact, impacting on investments by nationals of those very same countries that we owe such substantial funds. But we have to be very careful. A lot depends on where you have contracted your debt. If you have contracted your debt from international agencies and international banking institutions, it is easier for you to look for debt relief from these institutions. But where, for example, a lot of your debt may be domestic, that is to say, contracted from your own domestic institutions or from regional institutions. It becomes more problematic because what you're doing essentially is to ask for debt relief from among those institutions within your own area, and that can have serious consequences. Overall, the Government of St. Lucia fully supports the call by the ECLAC Director General. We think it is a well-founded call, and that we will join other countries of the Commonwealth Caribbean in working with her to begin to put into place an argument for debt reduction for the entire region. I think it is a very noble cause. We should support it, and these islands badly need breathing space, because the truth of the matter is that unless we get new finance, we're not going to be able to carry out the development projects that we need so badly in our various countries.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to narrow down my plan specifically to my constituency, but I'm very, very, very enthused by the prospects for the Citizenship by Investment Program. Already the Government of St. Lucia has received numerous inquiries. The board has been established to manage the affairs of the Citizenship by Investment Program. We are moving speedily to enact the regulations that are required. But crucially, the Government of St. Lucia has already entered into 2 MOUs with potential investors. At some point in the near future, I would want to share these MOUs to provide some basic information to the public. But the best piece of news that I've heard recently from one of the investors is that they're interested in purchasing or repurchasing from the Government of St. Lucia, this time for cash, the Black Bay lands that we had to save when the original bank collapsed and when the Ritz-Carlton project failed. You'll recall that the Government of St. Lucia had to go to Parliament to borrow money to pay for the land. The good news is that the investor has now committed to repurchasing those lands to build a hotel. Now, I think you know me by now that I don't make those news public until I know all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted. So I'm a little very cautious. I'm not making a pronouncement. I'm only saying and confirming that since St. Lucia enacted the legislation for the Citizenship by Investment Program, we have been inundated with inquiries, requests, and I think the next spurt or jump in investment will come from the existence of that program. So to date, we have signed 2 MOUs, and there is a 3rd MOU that is now under active consideration by the government. And of course, that one I wouldn't want to prejudice it at this stage, but we are studying it, we are looking at it. It's a fairly massive project with a lot of potential, but again, one has to be very cautious. All I'm saying is that since we have been in office and we have seen a return of confidence in investment, witness, for example, courts in St. Lucia, investment by the private sector, the new hotel in the north, and there are other hotels that have embarked on internal restructuring and renovation. The Rendezvous Group, for example, they have now embarked on major reconstruction of that hotel. All this is good news because it means jobs for our people. All I'm saying is that while all of this is welcome and this is very good, we have seen a renewed interest, heightened interest in investment in St. Lucia coming from the Citizenship by Investment Program. The key is going to be that the investment takes place, because that is the only way we're going to deal with that serious unemployment issue that we have. So I have good reason now to be confident about the future of this economy. I think we have made the internal adjustments that we needed to make to sort out our fiscal issues, our fiscal challenges, our fiscal difficulties, and now I am beginning to see a country that is now poised for growth.